Hello and welcome this morning, everybody. I'm in the fabrication department again, and today we're fabricating the BMW M57 Billet exhaust manifold, which is interesting. And I thought I'd share it with you because we've put pictures on, but we've never actually done any videos about these billet manifolds. So let's take a quick look and see what's involved. So these two sections are basically what make the manifold, and these two are machined in one of our in-house CNC machines out of a big thick block of steel, like big thick, real heavy piece, and this is what we get left with. So the beauty of having a CNC machine manifold is obviously we have total control over the port shape and the throat curvature and all that kind of thing, which is really cool. It allows us to make a compact, super strong, but also good flowing. So what have I got to do now? Well, basically what I've got to do is weld these two halves together. So with the M57 version, what it has is two alignment dowels, and then it has, you can see this really big chamfer all the way around the edge, and it also goes into the ports a little bit here, all the way along the front. And what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, I've wiped the whole thing down with some thinners to get rid of any oil residue or anything that was on there, any kind of contaminants, because these are steel, and after being welded, we don't want them to rust. Customers would generally ceramic coat or will ceramic coat them for them after. So wiped it all down inside and out, and then I basically put the two halves together. Like that. So the dowels obviously align that, and you can see that's not quite pushed down into its dowel. There we go. And you can see when we machine them with a bit of spring in them. So the outer edges have a tiny gap and the middle is touching. And the idea being that when we clamp it, it ensures, that fly liked it, we clamp it and it ensures that the inner space is squeezed together, which is what we want, isn't it? So, dowels in. So the next bit to go in is these bolts. So we have 4 M10 cap head, and they basically help hold the manifold together whilst fabricating and in action. They get left in.
No Loctite?
No, they're going to come back out. So after I've welded it, after I've welded all that up, they come back out because this goes into a jig and it uses those bolt holes. And at that stage, then we'll apply some high temp Loctite. So you can see everything I've got already prepared. I've got, I would class that as a kind of a medium-sized tip diffuser style lens. We're using the red tungstens. I've pre-sharpened a load of tungstens in my box so that I'm not having to stop to sharpen them. This morning's been an interesting escapade because I had to fix the tungsten grinder. Someone, come into my world for a second, someone in the workshop who's been using this had basically taken this screen off the front, right? And it has a little level marker here. And it's been a while since I've actually done anything with this because I've been busy doing builds and other things. And this screen had been put on upside down. So I topped it up with fluid to the level where, you know, I thought the level was supposed to be, turned it on and it squirted fluid everywhere. Amazing. So I spent all morning taking that screen off, cleaning all the inside out, doing the joys of preparing for a job. So now finally, we're actually, I did say good morning at the start of this video, but we're actually at about 12 o'clock and we're about to start the job. But I've fixed the welder, I've fixed that, I've sharpened my tungstens, I've cleaned the bench, and we're finally ready to start. And that is how you should start, isn't it? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack this up on like maybe 100 amp setting, plenty of pre and post flow gas to protect that area because I want this to look amazing once it's done. I'm also going to pay attention to any of the corner areas. If I've got any gaps, even with these bolts in, I'll put clamps on so that everything is clamped up tight. And then obviously I have all this area to do. And you're probably wondering, why does this have no bolt holes in? Well, this gets fully welded and then it goes back in the machine and we put the flange pattern in. Did you know there's only 2 companies in the world that actually make billet manifolds like this? We're one of them, and the other is Steed Speed in Canada. I've once said America and they got quite upset, so sorry for that, Steed Speed, but Steed Speed in Canada. And they make them for Cummins engines, but we just do M57. We just do M57, or M606, or M605. And they're very exclusive. Right, I better get welding, don't I? Less talking, more welding. First of all, what I've done is I've tacked up the ends and I've done a little bit of a practice weld in the middle. Like I say, it's probably been a year since I've welded some of these billet manifolds, so I'm just easing myself into it gently. I have had great success with pulse and by just weaving it in by hand. And just from that little test piece, I was more comfortable without the pulse, because I always feel that with the pulse, I feel like I can't actually tell how much heat's going in, whereas I know with just a consistent delivery of amps, I can almost tell how much heat's going into there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this section here. So I'm using a 2.4mm wire rod, and we're going to start at this end and we're going to take it up to that end, and I'm going to weave it in as I go along. So I'm going to get my hand in a very comfortable position. By the way, this isn't really meant to be like a fabrication tutorial video. There's every man and his dog making fabrication tutorial videos that are probably definitely better fabricators than I am. I build cars and I have to do this as a necessity, and I try and do it as nicely as possible in a professional way. Yeah. Right, are we ready for it? I'm not quite happy with that. Maybe I need to be a bit... That's better. That's better. Oh, I can't see because the camera's blacked my lens. So what I'm doing there, I'm just starting by heating that up. I'm on 120 amps and I am just pushing the rod in to the weld pool a little bit there. Just trying to get the heat in. And the look that I want. Oh. Quite a lot of afterflow there. Okay, so there we can see we've got good gas coverage, which I'm happy about. Not very happy about that little bit that flicked off at the end there. Oh, luckily it hasn't attached. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be doing those ends separately. So I'm going to continue to weld those up. Let's do another one now, and then those will be done afterwards, probably after I've welded the outside of the manifold. So I'm not really liking my position.
You need me to stop filming for your mask?
Yeah, stop. Just right, we're away. I always find that lots of small movements give the nicest look. Oh, that was a bit spattery. Did we have a little residue of thinners there, or I didn't see any porosity, so I think we're good, but I didn't like the sound of that. We're TIG welding, not MIG welding. Right, and real gentle on the rod at the end, and stop. There we go. Nice, very, very nice. This grade of steel really seems to take to that stainless rod very well. Right, I'm going to finish the rest of those off camera because you'll fall asleep and get bored. And then we'll do some of the exciting top bit. So when you heard that little bit of a spatter there, if you look closely at that tungsten, can you see how the end has a strange... Hang on, shall I hold it there for you?
Yeah, that would help, please.
So the end has like a strange ball on it.
I can't see a ball.
It's very small, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like the camera does not want to...
It's reflecting. What about on my glove?
Okay, let's try it. I think your camera's not really doing good at life.
Yeah. Okay, well, the end of the tungsten's not very sharp, so I'm changing it out because we want that sharp tungsten. Last week, this week, I don't even know what day it is.
Friday.
It was this week, wasn't it? That I was doing the aluminium.
What,
Yeah.
Welding?
The pipe work for the...
this week.
Yeah. So earlier this week, I've been doing aluminium, lots of aluminium, and it's, for me anyway, there'll probably be fabricators out there that'll laugh, but I find it hard to just swap from one to the other. It takes me like a day or so to get really into it. And yeah. Right, let's try that.
Camera's going to be turned off and started.
Just walking the 308 stainless into this beautiful billet manifold. Shooby-doo, shooby-dooby-doo. Taking 120 amps like a champ. And we're coming to the end. Get ready to stop. Don't overheat the end, guys. Lovely. Did you manage to see anything?
I don't think I did.
Did you manage to capture anything?
No, but I blinded myself a few times.
Good. So, I mean, it won't affect your camera skills. Put your hand up if you'll be getting a pay rise for your camera skills this year. Oh, I'm a horrible person to work with.
I'm a getting a pay rise for your welding skills this year.
I think I should. My aluminium welds on those pipes are really nice.
Prove it.
By my standards.
Yeah.
Bye now. I can't see because the camera. So I've clamped this top section together. We're kind of on with the sexy bit now, the bit that you can actually see. So I've done most of my first passes on the underside. You can see I've already done this side. This side's already zipped up. You can see that. So now I am going to weld from this corner round, and then I'm going to reposition it and then finish it off and round the top because I can't get under that clamp. We're about to get started on welding, and the compressor has decided that it needs to compress, which it does every like few minutes, and it's right there, look, right there. So if you've ever wondered where that noisy friggin' compressor is, it's next to the fabrication department, and I'm probably going to move it. Right, so we need to get ourselves into a comfortable position. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on that corner, and I'm going to just start working my way up around there, and then I'll probably find a more comfortable position for doing the radius. Oh, I can't see. Yeah. So you'll notice I'm actually pushing the rod in, because if you let the rod just lie in that big V, you end up with a slightly sagged puddle, and I like it to be flush or slightly raised. Can't see. Finally the compressor has stopped. Ooh, a little bit close to the weld pull there, wasn't I? I've got to just hold it there for a few seconds. You can hear that gas coming out just while it stops. Ooh, yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks nice. Right, now get myself into a more comfortable position for doing this section. Can't see. Right, let's go. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my time, filling that fillet there, that groove that we've produced with the CNC machine. I'm just nicely working my way, just walking it along. Right, that's where I'm about comfortable. You can see the heat build up there on that radius. So that's where I'm about comfortable going at that angle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the manifold flat, remove this clamp, and then bring it round. I might try and just, well actually there's no point moving the clamp round further. Talking about the clamp, notice I've put aluminium either side, look, to protect it. So I'll take this down off this angle. This is the thing with these things, they're so precious that you're not wanting to scratch it, so I try and keep it on the aluminium. And as you start working your way around these welds, the whole thing starts just to get hotter and hotter. Right, so yeah, I can see just like a hairline gap between there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it a little bit further up there. Ooh, we need to lower the old whip. Right, so I'm going to pass my rod through that gap so I can, oh, that gap be better. And what we don't want is it getting jammed while I'm... Right, are we ready to go? Okay, oh. So we're going to start on the section that we've already welded, let it build up some heat, and then that's it, we're going to start walking it in. I'm not liking the rod at this angle. I can't see. Take the camera away.
Go on.
I do not like the rod at that angle. Can't see.
I'm not filming you.
I know, but if the camera's anywhere near it'll stop me from being able to see. Right, yeah, I'm going to try it like that above. Why does that... I can smell a burning glove. So that bad frequency that you could hear there is the the tip's starting to get a little bit contaminated and not wanting to earth out properly. So after this pass, we'll change that out. On this steel, this type of steel, the electrodes, the tungstens, just don't seem to stay razor sharp for very long. I'm sure there's probably some science behind that, but they do a good job while they last, but they just don't last very long. I'm sure we will get the cure for that in the future. I'm getting as close as I can to that clamp. Nice. Oh, and we can see a decent bit of heat has got into the material there as well, which is good. So what I'll do for the next stage is tip it up again. I'll flip this clamp back on itself like that, so I've got better access and I don't have to take it off. Make sure that that gap's good, which it is. This will be very hot. So what we're on tungsten number 3.
Yep.
Like I say, we're using red tip tungstens. The gas coverage is good. The material is super clean, so it's not getting contaminated from that. But it just seems to be dirtying them up a little bit. So I wonder if there's potentially a slightly better material for a tungsten out there for this particular job. I'm sure that some of you clever welding guys that might be watching this in the comments may be able to give me a little bit of advice on that. Like I say, the job's nice and clean, neat, and you can see I've got a nice little gas lens on there and everything. But yeah, tungsten just doesn't last very long before it blunts off. Which isn't the end of the world. I'm not trying to do 1,000 of these a second. They're very special and bespoke. But it'd be nice just to know what's going on there. Oh, the second you just put a new one of those in, it is bliss. It just so much nicer, sharper and more precise. You'll notice that I'm actually like twisting my rod a little, which I'm not known for doing that in the workshop, but I have to do it because it just seems to bite into the steel a little bit and doesn't allow me to push the rod, so I have to twist it a little to help it push. Twisting one's rod in the workshop. And since I'm doing this uphill section potentially a little bit too slow, around the corner, can't see. It's so strange that whatever the iPhone camera emits blackens my welding mask. It auto tints my mask. So we're working our way along. Okay, that's nice. So I'm quite pleased with that. This is the first one of these I've done in probably, I'm going to say it's going to be more than a year, definitely. I would say it's probably been a year and a half since I've done one of these. And yeah, I think that on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, I think we've got 4 of these to do in this batch. I'll certainly get neater, but yeah. We're in between fabricators at the minute. So, although I have been doing a lot of fabricating, doing the GMC aluminium pipes, I'm kind of doing all the other little bits of fabrication. So all the orders that are going out at the minute that are fabricated, stuff that's custom and one-off like this, complaints directly to me. Well, they always are directly to me. Right, so now what I've got to do is weld all these small inner sections. So what we do is we use the lens like that, extend the tip, and we reach right in. And you start at the back, and then you work your way this way. It's going to be difficult to show you that on camera. I'll try and get one. I've clamped it in the vise, and you're thinking, oh no, he's going to scratch it, but don't worry, because all this gets machined off. And if you notice, look how I'm clamping it. It's just on the flange, which is going to get machined off. So now I'm going to extend my tip. Yes, the moment you've all been waiting for Luke's tip to get extended. And I'm going to weld inside there. And you're going to come along for the ride. For me, it's a really shit one to have to weld.
Again, you're complaining. You're wrong.
I know, I'm always whinging, aren't I?
Say something positive.
These are great to weld. Watch this. Look how good I am. I'm a fabricator.
Wouldn't you say a fabricator and a welder are different? Like welder, just welding, but fabricating would imply you're actually designing
your
and
sheet,
making something.
not designing generally.
Like an exhaust system.
Some guys consider themselves fabricators and they'll do plate work, sheet work,
Yeah.
metal rolling, bending.
I think there's a welder that just welds, and then there's like a fabricator.
Yeah, but there's more than just that, isn't there? I mean, realistically, the best way is if a young man starts in a workshop that does it all,
Or a young
and
girl.
goes, or a young girl, and goes. The thing, do you know what? Right,
No.
I'm not going to go off on a tangent here because I aren't sexist and I have women in my workplace, but it's difficult to have a woman in the workplace because it is a distraction for men. It is though, isn't it? And it's very easy
Can I be
to.
insulted?
Oh no, not you.
Exactly, that's the insult.
But it is a distraction because if you've got loads of women and loads of men all in the same
You
place.
might want to work harder to impress her.
No. Well, I don't know. Look, I'm open to suggestions. I can't. Starting at the end and working my way back, 120 amps into the groove. To be fair, these are actually a bit nicer to weld than the 606 versions because the port is at 90 degrees. On the 606 version it goes downhill and you have to do that. I actually have some 606 ones to weld afterwards, don't I? Can't see. Nice. It's not touching it, yeah, so it'll be fine. Can't fall, there's nothing holding it. This is a nice high precision job that we're doing, and there's someone up there. Like a bloody eagle in the rafters, just shut up. What, you're supposed to just turn that until it goes loose? Pretty much. It's going nowhere. You can't twang them like ratchet straps. Cool. Little bit of probing going on. Measuring, making sure everything is correctly in line with the world's longest probe. Some say that probe can reach Australia.
Enters junction.
Enter probing cycle. Did you press go?
I did.
There it goes. It's not even moving.
Very slowly.
Why is it going so slow? Oh, it's because the feed's turned right down.
Yeah. I'll turn it down. It's more accurate that way. Obviously.
So here we are, it's out the machine and just a couple of little jobs left to do. I'm basically giving it a spray down with some water dispersant, like WD-40 type stuff. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take these bolts out that you saw me put in earlier, before I was going to weld them, and I'm going to fit them with Nord locks. That's very important, because as you heard Egg mention earlier about using Loctite, well, we can't use Loctite because this is a manifold and it might see 1200 degrees. 1200 degrees. 1200 degree. Why is that so hard to say? 1200 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So we put them in. And these are all going to get the node lock treatment. Then, as soon as that is done, the whole manifold is going to get treated with a anti-rust solution that we use on all of our steel machined products. And that allows 5 years of storage with corrosion prevention, which is good, isn't it? So the product that we have finished, here it is. Give it a little shine up for you. Look at that. Just look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And look at the flange. How nice is that? Ooh, we do have one other tiny little thing to do. If you look on this side, we'll fit 2 bungs in there. So there's one in each scroll, so the customer can put an EGT exhaust gas temperature or a bit like in my GMC build, an exhaust gas pressure sensor. You'll have seen in my little posts and videos there's like a little curly whirly bit of pipe and a sensor on the end, and that's for exhaust gas pressure. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed a bit of fabrication, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of machining and a little bit of billet manifold goodness. So now all you need to do is enjoy your weekend. Bye from me.